Like, it was really cool. We were talking about earlier. I just bought a Porsche.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you, bro. But it was my midlife crisis. You know, I had a kid. I was like, man, fuck.
Having a kid creates a midlife
I just had a
crisis
kid.
at
I was
28.
like, damn. Like, I haven't done anything for me in forever. Let me just. I don't know. It was random too. Like my mom just got here from LA, and I was like,
yeah, but hold on. Didn't you just bought the Audi? I guess you sent that one back to go and get the Porsche. Right. So that's what made the shift over there. You're like, nah, you want to flex a little bit more?
There was issues with the title with the Audi because they had to ship it. Like, if I wanted to have it here in Florida, I had to ship it back to California.
Yeah.
Get it emissions tested, then ship it back over here.
Okay.
So I was like, nah, fuck that. Give me my money back. I'm gonna do something else. So I got the Audi. Wasn't a thing because there was a whole complicated thing. I was like, fuck that, I need a car though. So I went on the internet, looked for some cars, found a car, made an offer. I was literally like, they were like, I was like, I'll buy it right now. I'll have a check for you cash if you say yes. They said yes, sent me the paperwork, signed it. But I remember it was cool because I went to the bank and I asked for a big check amount. I'm a young guy. I don't look like I have money. I dress kind of homeless, you know? So I was there, and I remember they had to call like 2 or 3 managers to go and get this check cleared. And they had to like check my identification, make sure everything was legit, make sure everything was right. And yeah, it was a whole like ordeal before I actually was able to get that money out.
What was the eye contact like inside of the bank?
Well, it was weird because like, they were saying the number, like, oh, sir, so do you want to take out you want to get a check for X amount? I'm like, damn, motherfucker, I still have to walk to my car after this. Like,
yeah, right.
Like, I'm walking, and like, it's crazy. The craziest part, this is where it's super fucked up. The girl that was in front of me, she was trying to talk to the bank and saying like, my landlord said the check didn't clear. And it was like, her rent was like, she was off by like $300. So she was like, oh, you can go. And like, she pulled out to the side.
Damn.
To call her landlord saying like, the bank said like it didn't clear because of this, and then she just hears me like, yo, can I get a check for like $100,000? Like, what's this for? And I was like, oh, it's for she didn't, the bank, so I'm getting a card. And like, what car are you getting that you need to pull that much money out? And they did a whole interview. Manager came. Eventually I did get my check, but I was like, yo, I love that. I love that too much to just not be the boss. I'll take the responsibility for those types of moments of just like, and maybe that's an ego thing. I think in order to be the boss, you need a little bit of ego.
No, you do. You need
a little bit of ego.
It's necessary. Right.
Backed with the work ethic.
Right.
I think if you have ego and work ethic, you should be a boss. I think if you're good at taking directions, you should be like an enforcer.
But then again, if you have ego and a work ethic, you also need leadership as well in order to be the boss.
Valid point. So ego, work ethic, leadership, I think makes a good boss. Ego and work ethic makes a good earner.
Right.
Someone that's like really good at taking directions, I think you'd be a good like enforcer.
Yeah, I think if everybody buys into what ultimately the vision is, I think it works. But then overall, if it's because like I said, for me, it would just be in a situation where it's like, all right, I'm making all of this stuff here. And then if it gets to a point where it's all just feeding, you know, the boss, and then it's kind of a situation where it's like, all right, we're just funding this person got going on over here. If we were to all collectively leave and form a coup and then we all depart, what ends up happening then? So it all depends on, I guess, the infrastructure of the business.
But I think the issue with that, because I thought about that too, like what if all my salespeople, because we have their numbers, they're all posted.
Right. But the positive for you is you legitimately have, because in order to be a boss, more often than not, you have worn those hats prior.
Yeah.
Because when you first start a business, you wear every single hat. Yeah. So you at least, if worse were to come to worse and you had to be the one calling, although you don't want to fucking do it, you have that skill. That's not a skill.
The thing is, I'm not afraid to make an example of people too. So there was one salespeople. We have to interview. We get rid of people fast. There was one sales guy in here, and in the group chat, he made a recommendation. Hey, Rene, why don't you do this? And my response was very simple. Hey, thanks for teaching me how to do social media marketing. Appreciate it. How long have you been doing social media marketing? That's one thing I dropped in the chat. He responded, and we took him out of the group. I made an example of him in front of everyone, because at that point, now everyone's like, well, fuck, let me just shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like, I think it's very important to make examples of people, right? And this is coming soon. I'm going to follow up with this guy, and I'm going to make an example of him again. I'm like, hey, remember this guy that said something? Look what he's doing now. If he's doing good, then it's going to backfire. But if he's doing bad, I'm like, hey, look at this guy. He's still not doing shit. So be very grateful with what you guys have. You guys are blessed. And I treat everyone really well. Everyone in my organization, they get paid, they get bonuses. I'm really, really big on making sure everybody gets fucking paid. I just added a bonus structure where if the first dude to do $1 million, he gets a Rolex, and the dude that does $2 million, he gets a brand new BMW or Mercedes.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So,
I think incentive is huge.
It incentivizes them to stay long enough, because let's say it takes them $1 million or it takes them a year to hit $1 million. They're staying for at least a year, because if they're at like 600K, they're like, fuck, I get a Rolex. I just got to.
That goes back to the acknowledgement, because I think the what's the big popular word now? Gamification of the business that now makes people want to go. Because if you now create like a hierarchy, people want to go and jump for it.
Yep.
So with that being the case, that puts them in a situation where it's like, hey, I want to keep grinding so I could be number one. And if you get an incentive, then it's perfect. So that going back to initially being like not wanting to be the earner, but if there are incentives that existed, then by all means, I'd stick by and then do stuff like that. But if you're in a situation where it's like, all right, the stuff is coming in, that's great, we appreciate you, and you just go on with the rest of your business, that's not a good leader. But if you have a leader who's now putting you in a position to where you're earning as you're going, plus there's further incentives that's there, now you gamify the entire situation and people feel much better.
I think
around
there's a lot.
The company.
There's a lot that goes around with building an organization, but like I said, it costs to be the boss.